If you haven't heard yet, Ryan's retired. He's done. Absolutely out of the game. And so he is about to hop on a jet plane to some far off beach with his family, and we'll never hear from him again. But before that happens, I'm here with Ryan Deiss. Thanks for coming on and having this conversation, Ryan.
Yeah, it's perfect timing. I mean, literally, we were recording this the day that I announced my my retirement. It's really funny because I mean, I guess just to give the backstory. So we've announced to digital marketer that we're making a really significant pivot. Happy to speak to what it is if you think that would be interesting to your audience. But what I'm essentially saying is that, hey, I'm retiring from doing course creation. I'm not. This is what I've done my entire career. And I'm not doing it anymore. And I'm not doing it anymore for a very good reason. Well, I don't have to. But you know, so what that is like, that's a marketing angle. Like, we're all marketers here, right? So I could be like, hey, I'm retiring, and then that's the message. Like, that's the subject line, and then below it, from course creation. But so I've got this picture of me, like, I'm retiring, and literally my dad reaches out to me. And he's like, what? Like, I'm getting texts galore. I'm like, none of you read. My goodness, people, like, read the thing. But yes, so anyway, I'm still very much alive, active, working in business. I'm not, what am I going to do if I retire? I'm not good at golf. My wife would kill me.
Are you, I wasn't planning to start this way, but I forget who authored it, but the concept of like, high performing athletes, high performing anything, you've got training days, you've got rest and restoration, and then you got like performance. It's usually those three components. Do you segment out like days where you're like, this is a day and I'm resting and I'm just resting. This is a day where I'm working and performing, and I'm just doing that. Or how do you kind of structure your time and balance those three elements?
Yeah, I don't have set days where I do that. It's just my life and calendar doesn't. I can't be that strict with it, and a lot of that's kid stuff, right? My kids have activities, and stuff comes up in work. I mean, we're running companies right now. So many people, they're like, "This is my day when I do that." It's like, that's adorable. Like, that makes for a really good LinkedIn post, but that's not what happens when you run a real business. So, you know, fine. I don't buy that. So for me, there are certain things that I need to get done in a week, and you know, I need to have focus blocks where I'm actually getting the real important work done, and I decide ahead of time what that real important work is going to be. So I've got a time Sunday evenings where I choose, okay, this is my big three for the week, and I call it my big three, but it could be two, it could be four, it could just be one. But this is the big important thing or things that I'm going to get done this week. That gets slotted into my calendar during those focus blocks, which is really, I think it's about 6 hours in a given week are my focus blocks. So I've got to have those. I've got to have time that I block off for professional development. I've got to have time that I do block off for rest and restoration. I've got to have time that I block off for my people and my team. Yeah, so I have blocks and things that I have to do, and I put them on my calendar. My rule is they can be moved, so I can shift them to a different place. They can be multiplied. So if I have additional spots, I can have multiple focus blocks, and they can be expanded. They just can't be deleted. So sometimes that means I need to work late one night because I didn't get a focus block in, and everybody's so freaking fragile now, and they're like, you know, oh, I can't work unless I get my morning routine. It's like, God dang it, shut up.
It's so funny. I actually love those rules. It can be moved, it can be multiplied, it can be expanded. Man, how freeing is that? But when you started, I guess it just made me think of my family. I love all the things every day. It's kind of like I'm not just like, I don't know. It's like I eat food every day. Things that I enjoy, yeah. I like to have kind of that way. Like, I can move it, I can multiply, I can expand it, but I'm definitely not going to go for nothing. So even when I'm on vacation, I mentioned like, what would I do if I retire? It's like, even when I'm traveling or whatever it is we're doing, I'm like, I like to have deep work, because I've gotten to the point where, like, in the business, the deep work that I do is the stuff that I enjoy anyway. So it's like, you know, I have to tell my family, like, would you prefer if I was like, I don't know, playing video games? Like, if I was doing that on vacation, then that's acceptable vacation activity. But because my deep work might be like brainstorming content or checking in with the team or whatever it might be. So you just,
Yeah, my rule when I'm on vacation is I only do the work I want to do,
yeah.
which is different because when I'm working, sometimes you have to do work you don't want to do. And so when I'm on vacation, I just simply won't do the work I don't want to do. I'll defer that, or I'll make sure that it happens. But yeah, I mean, if I'm on vacation and there's work I want to do, I'll do it because I want to do it. And that's the beautiful thing about, like, hopefully about either the business you own or the job that you have. Hopefully there's an aspect of it that you really love and enjoy. If not, God dang it, stop it and do something different. But yeah, I bet I love 80% of what I get to do. And so, heck, like, I want to not do that just because I'm on vacation. I take a lot of vacation. That would suck.
Yeah, you're like, how would I grow the business?
Yeah.
Okay, there's so many ways we could go with this, and we were talking about this before we hopped into this recording. But let's talk TNC. We got to talk TNC, right? Because this is one. I think from a marketer's perspective, everybody knows you. Like, in my mind, I was like, it's like not a savant, but it felt like, man, well timed. Like, just bravo. You know, you want to just like clap and it's weird. Even all the circumstances there, you're like, rarely do we ever like buy the dip and sell the high. That like almost never happens. So when you see someone do it, you're like, is this a genius, or were you lucky? Or is a combination of both there? And then in recent history, is this the first year it's not happening?
Yeah, this was the first year that TNC did not happen. They canceled it. It was supposed to happen in February.
Yeah, it was supposed to be in the winter there. And so, can you talk through a little bit of the process of? I'm curious if people don't know, give a little backstory to what it is, what we're talking about, and why the decision to sell, and when, and then as much as you wanted to talk about in terms of the aftermath.
Yeah, sure. So Traffic Conversion Summit was an event my business partner Perry and I started 15 years ago. And we started it because there just really wasn't a good digital marketing event. There were a lot of pitch fests. There were a lot of bad marketing events, but there wasn't a good one. And, we said, what would happen if we just put on an event that had really good content? Would people show up? And so the first year we had 189 people, and it was just us for 3 days, only sharing stuff that was cool and working for us. That was it. We had a binder that we gave everybody that was all of our slides. We were like oddly, freakishly prepared. And I just remember hearing everybody anytime I could tell like every third slide, because you'd hear everybody simultaneously turning the page. And we had way more content than we planned on. And people were like, you could tell they were twitching because we didn't take bathroom breaks and we ran super late at night. I mean, it was nuts the first year, but the next year, everybody came back and they brought their friends. And so, it was 400, 500 the next year. Then it was like 800. And it just kept growing and growing and growing and growing because everybody kept saying, wow, this is the best event that I've ever been to, because that was always our goal. And then finally, we didn't make any money the first 3 years. We lost money the first couple of years that we were putting on that event. And year 4 was really when it turned a corner, because that was when we said, okay, this event's getting too big. We have to start taking on some sponsors. Like, we got to start treating this like a real thing. And we did. And then we were able to make a good bit of money from ticket sales and, and sponsors. And then we started treating it like a real business. And so from year 5 until year 10, which was 2019, it really made a lot of money. But then it started to grow. And this event got to be a couple $1 million in budget. And I just, starting in about 2016, literally, I would have recurring nightmares leading up to TNC. I'd have recurring nightmares of me walking on stage and nobody's out there. I'd have recurring nightmares of being trapped in a stairwell and I can't get to the stage and I'm supposed to. It was just, I had so much anxiety around it because so much investment goes into these 3 days. Like, so much planning, so much investment, so much time, and you either pull it off or you don't. And I just remember saying to my partners, I said, we're coming up on year 10 and nothing has gone wrong. And that's not normal. Something is going to go wrong. We should look to de-risk this. Around that same time, a buddy of mine had sold another event to this company, Clarion, which is the second largest event management company in the world. And he reached out to me and said, hey, they're looking at buying more events. Would you be interested in selling TNC? I said, as a matter of fact, I would. So we engaged in conversation. So a whole lot of luck, good timing, and anxiety is what led to it. But yeah, we wound up closing on that event in 2018. We had our earnout in 2019, and we all know what happened in 2020. And sadly, the event never really recovered from that, which I think was really unfortunate for the marketing industry.
Yeah, it's definitely left a gap there. There's been a number of, I don't know anybody else who had the personal win, at least to that degree, before COVID. And but I've seen other events kind of go by the wayside. It's very difficult.
Yeah, the event business really got hit hard, and I'll tell you right now, it's harder than ever. What people realized is, like, there was this surge immediately following COVID where everybody said, let's get together again, we miss each other. Mm-hmm. And then everybody kind of realized, God dang it, that could have been a Zoom meeting. Yeah. That could have been a YouTube video. That could have been this. And so you really need to have a very, very, very good reason to get people to come in, into one place. And I do think the future of events is smaller, more intentional gatherings that are moving around different places. And there's got to be an existing community. If you don't have a community first, then it's going to be difficult to build an event. Traffic and Conversion Summit worked because it was growing at the same time that Digital Marketer was growing. And digital marketing was a community-based brand. And so as the digital marketer brand was growing, they saw this event as their opportunity to get together. And that was one of the reasons that TNC struggled, is after we sold it, it was no longer directly associated with Digital Marketer.
Yeah.
And the new owners didn't want to pay Digital Marketer an affiliate fee to promote the event. Believe it or not, that was kind of one of the dumb mistakes. So
that is fascinating. Let's talk. So today, Digital Marketer, you teased it earlier. There's a pivot happening. What's the pivot? What are you looking forward to? And I think people are always curious, like, what are you seeing, like, trends looking forward into digital marketing?
Yeah, well, speaking about the course business, in general, which is separate from digital marketing, but I've been selling courses online since 1999. So I've been doing this for a very, very long time, like digital products online and things like that. And I'm not saying that the industry is dead by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it peaked in 2021. And I think that we're seeing its decline. And in this case, I don't think it's going to come back because of AI. Mm-hmm. I think people realize now, I don't necessarily need to learn this thing because I now have this machine that I can just ask it and it's going to give me the answer way better than Google did. Google gave me links. This thing gives me the actual answer. I don't need to learn it anymore. And we've been experiencing this for a while now in the form of revenue decline across our different, course-based businesses. And really the pivot that we decided to make was, we have all this content. We have all of this intellectual property. We have all of these courses. What if instead of selling these courses to humans, asking humans to consume them, which we know they don't, consumption rate of courses, completion rate of courses is tragically low. Tragically low. In the singular, like in the low teens in most cases. It is insanely low, and the actual implementation rate is much lower than that. So what that means is the success rate of a course is literally in the single digits, probably in the lowish single digits. Now, people buy courses for different reasons. They'll buy them for entertainment, and it can be motivating. They can get a little piece here and there, but in general, that's always been a flaw of the model. It's always been a flaw of the model. So we said, what if instead of taking these courses and trying to train humans, what if we take these courses and we use it to train AI? Let's use it to train the robots. Let's use it to train the bots. Now, these things become incredibly knowledgeable. Now what we can do is go to those same humans and say, look, I don't need you to learn this stuff. Come into our world, give us some basic information. Give us the first 10% that we need to know, The bots already know everything. They're going to do 80% of the work for you. They're going to hand it back to you. And between you and us, our community, our coaches, the experts that we have assembled, we can get you that last 10% of the way. So we call it AI squared because it's the power of artificial intelligence multiplied by the other kind of AI called actual intelligence, actual real live human beings looking over this stuff, helping to get real work done. And so what we're essentially pivoting to at Digital Marketer is AI-enabled services. I'm really excited about it. The courses will still be there in the back end because I'm a big believer in explaining the why and people understanding how stuff works, not creating black boxes. So the courses will still be there. If people want them, we're just not going to sell them on the front end. We're not going to go out there and try to sell somebody a course or a certification. That's not really the business that we're in anymore, for the simple reason that it's just not a very good business. It's okay. It's an okay business, but it's not a good business, and it's certainly not a great business. So it's not one of these things where I think it's necessarily dead or I think somebody's bad if they do it. It's just not a very good business. And so we're moving to what I think is a better business.
Well, last couple minutes, I like to get, is there a book, a podcast, something that is, let's say, deeply affected you in the last year that you'd recommend to folks if we were just chatting over?
There's a book that I read not every year, but every couple of years, and it's The Goal by Eliyahu Goldratt. Mm-hmm. And this book, in my opinion, sums up the most important lesson that anybody can learn in business, and that is theory of constraints. This idea that in any business, you can break it down to a value chain. You could break it down to an assembly line. So if we think about marketing, and this by the way was my big breakthrough. Everything that I've ever done at Digital Marketer, from the funnel to the napkin, customer value journey, everything that I did comes back to this breakthrough that I had reading this book, which was written for people who are in the manufacturing business, not marketers, but it absolutely applies to marketers because if you're a marketer, you're manufacturing customers. That's the real game that you're playing. You're in the business of taking the raw material that is latent interest in the marketplace and manufacturing that into a person that gave you, a stranger that gave you their money. Like that's what we're trying to do. So if we can map out, if we can visualize how customers happen, if we can measure each and every stage of that, then we can determine where the bottleneck is. Where is the machine broken? And if we can then just put all of our efforts towards fixing that one thing, we can over time optimize each and every stage. But this is not what most marketers do. We track vanity metrics. We try to optimize things that aren't broken. We chase shiny objects. We implement tactics and strategies because we see our competitors doing it, because we happen to go to a webinar and they said it was cool. If you read The Goal, if you understand theory of constraints, you will be better at every aspect of business.
I would actually also argue of your life, because I apply that. One of the resonating things is like fixing, improving a non-bottleneck improves nothing. And how many times I catch myself feeling like I was busy, but there was no progress. It was like, oh, it's because I was working on a non-constraint. And so, yeah, it's a great book. Well, phenomenal. Ryan, I just appreciate your time, hopping on, sharing some insights with folks. There's so many things that I feel like I've benefited from. What, if I'm going to send someone in some direction, where do you want me to send them? I know we've talked through, I know a couple channels you're active on. You also have the book that came out, I think in the last at least 2 years. Is that a good resource for folks? Like, should we let folks come and hang out with us in Mexico next time at the scalable events? Where should we send folks?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm always a fan, and this goes back to, again, the customer journey of going first, right? So, look, I've got a lot of free content up on YouTube, and if you like what is there, it's mostly, I'll tell you, business scale and operation stuff, because all I've ever done is talk about what I'm actually doing. And so 5, 10, 15 years ago, I talked about marketing because I was only doing marketing. Now I'm just basically running companies. I got marketers doing that. So I'm mostly talking about the business scale, kind of the hard work of scaling companies, the operation side of things. So if you go to my YouTube channel, that's a lot of what you're going to see. I still talk about marketing because I'm still a marketer, but at heart, and I still dabble from time to time. But I would say start there. Go to YouTube, Ryan Deiss Official. If you like what you see there, I'm sure there's a link somewhere where you'll have an opportunity to get on a list or give me some money. Because again, I am, after all, a marketer. If you follow me around long enough, I also guarantee that an ad will pop up with my ugly mug on it, and you will have ample opportunities to get on some list. Because again, I am a marketer, and I've got marketers on my team that make sure that happens.
That's so true and so good. I loved your high level presentation at the summit where you were like the marketer's like, I'm looking for leverage points. They're like, I could, chase the organic, or I could figure out a way to just like make the machine work. But shameless plug I'll give you is so many communities. You guys do attract uniquely real businesses. So not to say if you're starting off, you're new, you're growing, Ryan's got stuff for you too. But if you're considering some of the higher end programs or what he's got there, it's a unique segment of high caliber folks doing it in the day in and day out, and been really, really just impressed with the size and scope of business leaders, owners.
Yeah, man, thanks. I think the quality of a mastermind is determined by who's not in the room. And that's something that we definitely took to heart when we were building Founders Board. And I wanted to make sure that it was a room of peers for me, people that I would enjoy being around, that I could learn from as well. And look, my not so secret muhaha plan in all of this is the reason that I do all of these things is because we want deal flow for the M&A side of the business. And so like that's what we do. And that's what we've always done. I mean, you've got I'm sure you and your listeners have heard of Alex Hormozy and acquisition.com. I love Alex and I are friends, but he and I had this conversation years and years and years ago.
Probably when he was living in Austin, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we've been buddies. I just didn't buy a cool domain name. So that's why we're doing this. And so I want there to be people in a room who not only do I want to hang out with, but who I might potentially want to even partner with one day. So thank you for the compliment. But again, it's remarkably self-serving.
Well, that's the best business, where it's a win for you, it's a win for them, it's a win for everybody.
Right? It works out.
I want to respect your time. So Ryan, thank you so much for being here, for chatting with me, and for sharing all the insights in the audience. Just a recap for folks: search Ryan Deiss Official on YouTube or on X. If you're active on X, it's really Ryan running that over there. But thank you so much for hopping on and being part of the conversation.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for having me.